Welcome to Therapist Spotlight.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Ange's Therapist Spotlight, the podcast where we showcase our wonderful members to the wider community. My name is Joshua Brooks, your host, and today we're here with Teresa Crisp. Teresa is a naturopath and a nutritionist, so this is going to be an excellent conversation. Teresa, how are you this evening?
I'm very well this evening, Josh.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. First question, how'd you get into natural therapies? What grabbed you?
Oh, natural therapies. I think I sort of more likely fell into natural therapies because when I was brought up, you were either, or a woman was either a teacher, a nurse, basically. So I started out actually doing nursing and then decided that nursing wasn't really my calling and ended up doing becoming a naturopath. So I went down to Melbourne and I did my course at the Southern School of Natural Therapies. So I kind of say I sort of fell into it in a way. And it was like, yeah, it was great. I had a great time in Melbourne, met some wonderful people and thought about lots of different things. And I guess it really sort of, I know, pivotal some questions about, what is health? What really does get it? Why do we get sick? And also, maybe not the medical profession has got all the answers. Maybe there is a bit of a combination that needs to work here.
And it's one of the most curious things that I've noticed is that there are quite a lot of nurses who start off nursing, but then they tend to add natural therapy qualifications on top of that. What made you want to go the natural therapy route after doing nursing?
Oh, well, it was more that I had some input from people in my community saying, Teresa, I think you should be a naturopath. I really don't think nursing is for you. So that was like a wide opener because I come from a rural, remote area and naturopaths weren't really widely spoken of, although yeah, that was sort of a career that was, I suppose naturopathy was very much in its sort of infancy in the general populace. So, yeah, I had to go, oh, wow, that's unusual. So I actually looked into it and decided, yeah, I kind of like this idea. And lucky I had a very supportive family because they didn't actually say to me, dictate, what I wanted to do or not wanted to do. They just basically told me to chase my dreams. So off I went.
Yeah, wow.
Into the field.
And so how did you find that the nursing qualification, did you find that enhanced your naturopathy when you got down there? Did you find that you had sort of, again, blood taking skills and blood pressure skills? So you had all that medical knowledge. Do you think that enhanced your learning of naturopathy?
I don't know whether it enhanced my learning of naturopathy. It was probably more to the point that I knew a little bit of both sides of the fence.
Yeah, wonderful.
More so than anything, because I don't know whether I would say, yeah, they're kind of two different types of angles on a person's health. So, yeah, and nursing is very much the caring, nurturing type profession, and it's, you have a lot of what I didn't particularly like about nursing is that you've got less and less time with the person, and I gather that was the major driving force of me wanting to become something a little bit different, because health was sort of put in a very black and white, do this, do that, etc., you will get better, but really the individual's journey on their health requires a little bit extra time rather than set procedures.
Yeah, definitely. And so what part of naturopathy when you were studying it really grabbed you? Was it the fact that, again, like you said, you get to spend a little bit more time with people and you can see their whole healthcare landscape rather than just from a sort of a little lens? Or was it the herbs that really grabbed you afterwards? Was it diet? What part of the naturopathy really made you sink your teeth into it?
Okay, this is probably a little bit weird, but it was probably more of a journey of where am I, what am I, how can I get the best out of myself? It was a little bit selfish in that I needed to find out more about why are we here, who are we, how can we maintain the best health possible so we can actually enjoy enjoy life and get most out of life. Yeah, those sorts of skills. So, having a healthy body is very important, and that's where the herbs and nutrition and diet is very good. But as I sort of matured and got older, I guess, I looked at the mental, emotional sides of well-being, and finding that they're probably got just as much of an important role as what maintaining our physical health.
So with your naturopathic practice, you've also got the clinical nutrition as well. What made you get a nutrition qualification as well as a naturopathic qualification, and how do you find they work in with each other in terms of the way you practice?
Okay, well, I did nutrition as part of my naturopathic qualifications, and now that sort of naturopathy isn't sort of seen as a legitimate, I suppose, thing with and health funds have taken naturopathy off the list. I actually had to look at, can I get nutritional qualifications? And I went through the grandfather clause and managed to get the nutritional qualifications that way.
Fantastic. Yeah, excellent. And so then with your practice, are you much more of a herbal naturopath? Do you prescribe a lot of herbs, or do you focus on diet? You said that you focus on the mental and well-being. Do you do some mindfulness practice and that kind of thing? So what does that look like in your clinical consultations, practice and treatment plans?
Yes, Joss, you've hit a bit of what I actually do. Yes, I do herbs, and I do nutrition, and I do work on diet. I've also have done a lot of study and into yoga, and I find that was a really good way of actually getting into what the mind is all about. So, and once you have a bit more understanding of what the mind is like, you can kind of get a bit of an idea of what's going on in that person's head, and understanding of probably what some of that mental illnesses is, because not all, it's kind of an area that some, with some people, the particular mental illness is a way of them becoming a bit more understanding of who they are and themselves, and you don't want to block out that journey completely as well. It's very interesting in that particular way.
And well, we know, like, when we start to talk about this sorts of stuff, again, sometimes diet can be as a result of, you're stress eating, or you're trying to hide different feelings, or you're trying to push it down. So do you find that again, when you're talking about the yoga, you can start to open them up a little bit more to, like, why are you eating poorly? Why are your dietary choices happening the way it is? What's going on in your life? And then you can start to piece it more together with your natural health and your dietary plans for the different clients?
Yeah, I kind of like to build things up into like little parts. So, first initially we started building up the groundwork, and the groundwork is like healthy eating. Then you can do particular herbs and supplements to help, clean the physical body, clean things out, readjust, get things moving a little bit quicker than what you could do with diet alone. And then we kind of got to add into, exercise, because exercise helps with the body, also helps with the mind. And then we've got to look at, our mind as well, and how to keep it healthy and good. So I trying to cover a practice or a consultation that actually covers, our physical being, our mental being, our emotional being, and sort of balancing that out. So that's different for different people, because not everybody finds that they have exercise based. A lot of that particular well-being can come out of other particular ways of doing things. So I have people that come in, I say, well, their art is their focus. So they will go, they'll get more out of, closing the door and spending a morning in with their art in their art field. And that can be much more beneficial to their mental health than going for a run. So it's developing what that is for each particular individual, and neither one is better than the other. Sort of get the feel from where I practice with here is that, and with society, it's kind of like let's do something in order to feel happy. So, exercise has been very sort of trendy and up there. Let's exercise. But not everybody is actually suited to that. And some people find that they, with their art, they're actually doing something but become much more tranquil and relaxed and centered rather than to actually having to do more active sort of work.
And it is something that I've noticed a lot about natural health, which is wonderful. It's kind of much more, rather than that box or that prescription, right? Like you said, well, you've got to lose weight, so why don't you just go and run? Why don't you just go and, bust it out of the gym or whatever? It's like, well, maybe that's not the best option for you because you're just pushing yourself into a more problematic state of mind. Whereas, like you said, getting something that you enjoy, that uplifts you, that actually starts to allow things to move, even though it might not be as energy intensive as exercise in that way, it's much better for your mental health, which then reduces stress. It improves all of your hormones. It improves your digestion and actually allows you to start to heal a lot faster. Don't you think?
Yes, I think that's a fantastic way of putting it, Josh. Well done. Yeah, and that's lovely putting it. And I think that sort of society has come to a point where we're busy doing and not actually being so much. So I think the next tide of sort of healing is going to be in those sort of areas where we learn to be, not so much do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, with
and
that
finding
said,
that balance.
Yeah. So with that said, a little bit of a cheesy question. What is your favorite herb or mineral supplement or stuff that you use in your practice? What do you just like? What do you like?
Oh, I love that sort of question. Look, I go through phases of which is my favourite herb and which is my favourite nutrient. And at the moment, I'm going through a bit of a phase of a B complex sort of a phase. It's my favourite thing. And my favourite herb would probably be Rehmannia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Rehmannia.
Why is Rehmannia?
Yeah.
Because it's a lovely little female balancing type herb. It's neither stimulating or it's neither, it's not stimulating. It's not, bringing down. It's kind of neutralizing. It's that, I call it a sort of a middle ground type herb. So, I'm going through a Rehmannia stage.
Well, it seems to be what we need, isn't it? Everything's so extreme at the moment everywhere. So a little bit of that middle balance kind of put everything back into a bit more perspective, I think.
Yeah.
So with your yoga, then, do you like to take people through different yoga poses, different yoga stretches? How do you incorporate that into or was that more the mindset of yoga? How does that come into your practice that when you talk to your clients?
Okay, yes, I do recommend yoga, but I actually talk to them that the exercise is a way to relax your mind. And the most important part of the yoga session is the end part where you do the meditation. Okay, so in my opinion, yoga is a way of bringing your mind to internalize what's happening within you. So, for instance, you start off with a class, you do up the warm-up exercises, and you go through certain particular poses. And those poses, with a good teacher, they'll say your awareness should be at these particular areas and your focus. So you begin to drop off your awareness of how strong or how good I look to how I feel. Okay, and how balanced that feels and how comfortable that feels within yourself. Then towards the end, when you actually go into Shavasana, which is the end part with the relaxing part, you've quietened the mind down and able to focus on what's happening, so you can actually see feel all the energies flowing through your body. So you sort of talk a bit about prana, pranic in the Indian system. It's very much about the movement of energy. Now, it is associated with breath, but it's not limited to breath. So after a particular yogic session, for instance, doing the asanas, sometimes when you're relaxing, you can feel those energy waves going through different parts of your body. And it's good to allow those waves of energy to flow through till they come, it's like a rippling in the water. Eventually it settles down and becomes all smooth and flat, and you go into your meditative state, and that's when you become aware and totally present in the here and now. And that's really difficult mindset to get into without doing some form of lead lead into it. And that's where the yoga process is really good, because not many of us out there today can, meditate per se. We actually need to have a set of a sort of almost a ritual to help bring you into that yogic mindset. Excuse me, need a drink.
No, yeah, definitely, no worries. That's just absolutely beautiful. So then with your naturopathy, then are you a big like functional medicine tester, levels, that sorts of stuff, or do you prefer to go a little bit more on how you're feeling, and we'll try these different herbs and we'll get you we'll just see how they go with you? How do you approach that with clients?
Okay, with the functional medicine, with the testing,
yeah,
now there's, I suppose, coming from my area, I'm not generally the first line of person that they'd come to. So most people who come and see me have already had some testing done. So I actually tell them to bring along those particular tests. Then I kind of go through a series of treatment strategies with them for the first 2 or 3. And if I feel that they require further testing, then I'll send them out for further testing. On top of that, but if we are actually getting results with actually not needing that further testing, that's the way I generally go. Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. And do you do much of the traditional naturopathy testing? So like, do you do iridology in your clinic? Do you do sort of the fingernails and tongue analysis? Yeah. Do you add in any of those kinds of things?
Oh, yes, I do iridology.
Yeah, wonderful.
You can see the picture behind me.
I was wondering if that was iridology, or if that was like a another yogic sort of thing. So that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do integrated iridology. I learnt with Tony Miller around 2005, 2004. So I did iridology with my naturopathy training, but then I went on and did a further course with it to give me a bit more of an understanding, because iridology, there are different, like there's the Bernard Jensen system, there's the integrated system, and the difference between the Bernard Jensen and the integrated system is the integrated also integrated some of those mentals, emotional stuff that are associated around it. So I gave it a little bit more of a relevance to me. I also do some bioimpedance testing, because that's very useful in especially the weight loss route, and also having a look at inflammation and how the inflammation plays out in the body, and see if we can get that particular parameter down. Other things, they're the basic ones that I do. Yeah. A little bit of eye, a little bit of tongue, very much into case history. Very important to get a good case history, and working on I suppose that's all in the case history.
Yeah.
It takes quite a bit of time to get into case history, right back, depending on the age, right back to childhood, right to the present day. Yeah.
And so with your nutritional qualifications then as well, how do you approach a client with their diet? Are you much more of we'll teach you macros, like macronutrients, proteins, carbs, fats, how to make your plate well, or do you do meal plans for your clients, or do they want meal plans? How do you sort of approach that with the people who come to you?
Okay, when I write down their case history, I also give a bit of an overview of what they eat on a day-to-day basis, and I actually have a look at that. And if there's anything, I suppose I look at it, are they having enough essential fatty acids? Are they having enough fiber, enough grains, that sort of thing? Is there, how much processed food is in there? Are the foods, depending on the season, are they relevant to the season that they have? So don't know about you, but I'm kind of in a colder climate, colder climate. So salads aren't really relevant all year round or helpful. So I was sort of teaching people about diet and climate in a way, and how they can be married, and how you transition between more of a leafy green to a more of a I suppose root vegetable cooked sort of type food. So it's looking at, I suppose, a little bit at the humours or the temperaments of the food and how that works in with their conditions. You don't want
awesome.
to add fiery foods to a fiery system. So I kind of look at the general overview of those sorts of things in their diet. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful.
And blood tests can tell you a little bit. They're having enough sodium in their diet, especially in the summer months. Is the sodium chloride in balance? Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. And do you find much resistance to your dietary stuff? Like, are people quite open to it now? Because, I mean, it's starting to get a lot more traction, isn't it, in the media and in the general populace about how important diet is. Have you found that more people are open to changing and to looking at these different ways of eating?
Yes, they are, very much so. In fact, a lot of people come in already trying lots of different diets and sort of get confused about what diet is best for them. And that's why they come here, because they want one that's particularly tailor-made to their specific needs. And that tailor-making, it really depends on the person. And then sort of getting them to understand the way their body works and understand their needs and so forth through their self gives them a bit more of an idea of what sort of diets would be better for them, because not all food is suited for all body types.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I can't really do carbs. If I have too many carbs, it just knocks me around and I put on way too much weight. Like, so yeah, I'm a big fan of the blood type diet as well as sort of a starting point and all that kind of thing. So it's really important to match people to diets and plans and herbs and everything, isn't it? Trying to really get them a tailored program.
Yes. Yeah.
And so is there any conditions that you really specialize in that you really like to treat? What sort of clients do you sort of want through your clinic?
Well, traditionally, I kind of like doing gastrointestinal stuff about gut microbiome, how to keep that healthy. But I'm sort of thinking more and more as I kind of get into more and more of how our mind works, and kind of looking at things like addictions and how that affects everybody. And when I'm talking addictions, I'm not necessarily talking about the traditional type of addictions. It's addictions to work, addictions to music, addictions to being busy, addictions to iPads. It's that kind of, the addiction personality is always there, and we kind of get rid of one addiction for another addiction that's a bit more socially acceptable, but it's still an addiction.
Yeah,
so definitely. I'm kind of trying to that's where my free time goes into, reading about understanding that addiction mentality.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like you said, prescribing sort of those more balancing herbs maybe to bring them back into alignment, and then the mindset to see why you're going for those addictions and what's happening. Is that kind of the way you're thinking of approaching that sort of client?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the addictions make you kind of feel good within yourself, but it's actually working out how to feel good without the need of an external assistance to make you feel good. Or to an external thing to escape the goings on of your own mind. Like when I was growing up, this is my little bit of history or a little story. As I was going through probably naturopathy and stuff, there was, I was the Star Trek fan, and I used to like those, particularly Star Trek, spacey type films. And I would always be wanting to be the hero of that. And that was in order to make myself feel better because I'm the hero, and it's that like addiction to that that hero type figure in order to make me feel better. So I suppose that's where yoga has come into me, in that I understand why I went for those sorts of films, or why I like those Avengers and that sort of thing, to have the hero, or the Indiana Joneses. Now that's getting me a bit old, isn't it?
I don't know. I've got a soft spot for Indiana Jones. It was one of my childhood favorite movies.
Yeah. So it's looking at, that. At the time, I didn't understand. I thought I just loved them. And now I thought, really, that's part of that psychology of the mind of, you need wanting to feel good. And that's how we got it. And now I'm getting to the days now that I've almost seen everything. And I go, oh, yeah, this is going to go this, and this way. And I kind of go, no. I was a bit disappointed when the new Star Wars movie came out, and it was just, okay, rewritten script, new actors. So I thought that's a bit sad.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to stay away from controversial topics. That might be a little bit, we'll get some hate mail maybe.
Oops.
So
Oh, dear.
it's kind of interesting with that whole addiction thing, isn't it? Because you do find that people will sometimes substitute a bad addiction for a good addiction, whether it be working out, exercise. Sometimes even I find like they may get addicted to diets, different diet crazes, different, and it sort of is that funny thing where they'll push their mind from one addiction to fill that addiction hole, but they haven't actually really fixed the root cause. Have you found that?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and that particular fixing the root cause is not an easy path to take, because that root cause, or in some people, can stem right back into their childhood, or beyond that, really, And also there's that, other layer that, most of society is looking for that happy pill. So, it's kind of like group mentality as well that can cause a particular issue. How do you sort of break free from that kind of flow of things and sort of work against the tide to actually find it? It's not a question that's easy to answer, but it's something that I'm pursuing.
Yeah, and I guess that is one of the hard problems or challenges, I guess, for us natural therapists. It's not a magic pill. Just because we give you zinc and magnesium, that's not a magic pill. You're not going to take that forever and be fine. It's like what we're trying to do is we're trying to lead you onto a healthier lifestyle, trying to pick together so you don't actually need nutritional supplements all the time. You may need them occasionally, depending upon, again, what's in season, but it's not about, well, this is just your pill, or this is just your adaptogen herb, or this is just going to replace your wolfram with this. It's trying to explain and educate the client about that holistic treatment to build their lives a little bit more solid, isn't it?
Yeah. And work out why. Yeah, it's definitely that. Yeah. And it's often give them the opportunity to think behind the obvious, beyond the obvious. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Teresa, for coming on. We've really appreciated your presence. If people want to find you, where are you located? Where's your clinic? Where's your connection? How do they get in touch?
Okay. My clinic is in Mildura. Which is the border of old people will know where Mildura is when they actually Google me. Yes, you can Google me with the natural therapies pages, and Andrew, of course, will have me on file as well. Yes, so you can email me. I suppose it's Teresa without a H at plumber.com.au, or my phone number, which is 0400521187.
Perfect. And as always, guys, those links will be down in the description panel in case there's any clients around Australia that are traveling through Mildura and want to look up Teresa, or any natural therapists that want to reach out and connect and have a chat and bounce ideas of each other. It will be wonderful. So thank you so much. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, Teresa. We really appreciate your time.
And thank you, Josh. I had fun talking to you.
Oh, thanks. And for everyone out there, have a good day, have a good life, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to Therapist Spotlight. If you would like to know more about ANTA, visit us at www.anta.com.au.